quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
Hey, back in the studio, another episode of The Business Side of Music. Today across the desk from me here at the Bunker, the Franklin Coffee House and Bunker, as we like to call it. Judith Baker is here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
When I read your bio, there's a lot to it. First of all, I got to say, you're one of those people that have an alphabet behind your name here with an MBA and an MIT and an ITIL, I guess. What exactly is that?
It is a certification specific to IT fields, and it is a framework for how you do IT, how you manage it, how you structure, how you make sure you have enough, say, like capacity. So when everybody's on the internet, it doesn't blow up, things like that.
That's always a good thing. Expertise comes from a combination of education and career experience. Of course, you were in the military. We talked about that before the show. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
That in itself is an experience, and I'm sure the learning curve. And then you're also a gifted speaker and a singer, songwriter, and you created LeBaker Music as a way to show what you do to empower and help others by combining skills. One of the things that I think we see a lot of with artists out there, with entertainers out there, is they're setting an example by what they do. For them to achieve that, they've got to take on a certain amount of leadership role, right?
Yes, they do. And a lot of times, the business side is leadership, being in charge of your finances, being in charge of your schedule, being in charge of who you need to talk to, who you need to follow up with, understanding that one phone call, one email requires a follow-up. I mean, it's all basic leadership skills, and it's just taking leadership of yourself instead of thinking, well, I guess it'll eventually happen, or I'm just going to write this song and we'll see what happens. You have to be strategic and intentional, and all of that takes leadership.
Is that something that can come naturally, or for most people, is it an education process? How steep is that learning curve?
I think it just depends on the person. It starts with them assessing, what am I good at? What am I not good at, right? If I don't follow up, if that's something that's painful for me, then what do I need to do to fix that? Some people are natural born go-getters, achievers. Other people, the thought of having to pick up the phone, and I use that because that's something that you have to do as a musician. It's frightening, it's debilitating. And for other people, don't ask them to get up and stand and talk. I can play my guitar all day long, but as long as I'm behind my guitar, I'm safe. You have to have clear goals. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 90 days? And then you back into them. What do I need to do to meet those goals?
And those goals, obviously, they need to be a certain amount of realism in there. You know, I remember having a meeting with some aspiring singer-songwriters many years ago, and I said, what's your goal? Where do you see yourself in a year? And they said, well, we see ourselves in a Learjet, and it's like, okay, time out. It's a reality check. You sometimes, or maybe in a lot of cases, you need people to help you set those realistic goals. How do you go about doing that?
It's okay to have a vision board, and that's the big, hairy, audacious goal, that this is where I would love to be one day, but there's a lot of steps in between. So you reach out to partners, like Indie Connect. I got to give a plug for Indie Connect for Vinny Rebus, because Vinny has helped me. Vinny got me this opportunity right here and suggested that this was something I should pursue. But, when you meet with someone like a Vinny and he says, okay, what are your goals? Okay, well, here, you need to call 5 people a week. I used to sing in churches full time, so I had to call 5 people a week. I had to send out, so many press packets. you have to break it down into manageable chunks of what you need to do. And if you don't like doing something, or if you run out of town, get help. There are lots of interns that, are specializing and majoring in music business. I mean, this is Nashville, okay?
It's almost an unlimited supply of resources here.
Exactly. You can almost even get on some of the Facebook forums, the groups on Facebook, and say, I need someone who can help me with.
And you don't have to be in Nashville to get into those forums.
No, you don't.
You can be in, Oslo, Norway, or wherever.
You have to. And that was a paradigm shift for me. I'm an Army girl. I'm used to doing everything myself. If it needs to get done, I get it done. That's what I do. I'm just very driven and very focused.
Right.
And everyone is not like that. All of us, regardless of how you're wired, if you don't have the end goal in mind and you don't have it broken down into manageable chunks, you're just going to flounder.
Do you think sometimes we do just the opposite? I'm going to go in this direction and I'm just going to do things and see what happens. You really need to have that, as you said, end goal in place and figure out the best way to get there.
I totally agree, because you want to do what's easy. I'm a songwriter. I can write songs all day. I can, learn how to use Logic Pro more and better all day. But in the end, I've got to be submitting music to supervisors if I ever want to have music put in a film or on a TV show. You can get caught in that quagmire, in that trap of, well, I'm just going to stay in my bubble, and you won't grow.
I think that's so important for especially that aspiring singer-songwriter to understand that. Set your goals. And I love what you said about the vision board, because you could set something on the vision board that's 5 years down the line.
Yes.
And that's not unrealistic. And if you get there before then, amazing.
Yes.
If you don't get there till maybe 7, 8, 10 years, it's still okay.
Yeah.
Because you're leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. But it's finding that final stop, whatever it is down the road. This is where I want to be, and setting those and creating them.
Absolutely. And my mentor with John Maxwell, one of them, his name is Paul Martinelli. Phenomenal mentor, leader. Just, one of these people that I just gravitate to and I absorb every word he says.
Right.
And he says in one of his talks, if you make a goal that you can achieve, that's not a goal.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I thought so. That really resonated with me.
How did you get started? You obviously served in the military, but you're also a singer-songwriter. Where did this come about? How did you get started in this whole journey that you're on?
Well, the first thing I actually wanted to be was a geologist.
Oh,
I
okay.
love rocks. But then I figured out real quick I could sing. I come from a musical family at a very young age. My mom tells me I was like 3 or 4 when I sang my first solo. I don't remember that.
Wow.
But I've always loved music. My family sings, and nobody told us, all right, Judith, you sing the soprano part, and my brother, you sing the tenor part. We just sang, and whatever part was empty, we would sing these beautiful harmonies, and I just thought everybody had that growing up.
Come naturally, yeah.
And that was kind of what got me started. So when I got into grade school and high school, I gravitated to the arts, to singing and acting and, those kinds of things, and started my college years in music. I did 2 years in music and, decided I didn't really want to go that route, because all you could really do with that is teach. And I didn't want to teach. I wanted to perform. I wanted to sing. And then when I went in the Army, I had the privilege of singing with the Army Soldier Show. I was chosen from, there were 35 of us. Half of us were tech. Half of us were performers from 10,000 people. And I mean, that was just mind-blowing to have that opportunity.
Wow.
and to travel the world for 6 months and sing for soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's my people. So, so it's just grown and grown and grown. And when I first came to Nashville, I have to be honest, I wanted to give up, because there's so much talent here. A lot of just amazing musicians that are so much further down the path and have done so many other things. And I just learned that's their journey. This is my journey.
That's important to know. You don't try and be in someone else's trip.
Right.
Do your own thing.
Exactly.
I sometimes don't like this expression, but I hear it. You be you.
Yes.
Yes. And sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is.
Because you may not like who you are.
It is.
And you've got to change. But yeah, you should be You should be your own original person.
Yeah, and I have to give a plug for my husband. You know, he was the thumb in my back that, hey, you know, you've written all these songs, you've done nothing with them, you need to produce an album. And so in 2005, I did. You know, hey, you know what? You're good with computers and you can play enough keyboard. You need to learn how to produce. You need to learn how to create your own tracks in Logic Pro. So I did. You know, so he was able to see beyond what I would see. You know, I would limit myself because it was new or it was different, or, you know, I'm used to singing. I just want to show up and I just want to sing, right?
Yeah.
But, you know,
but that's the easy road.
It is. Yeah. And it's opened so many more doors for me.
Do you see anybody and everybody being able to do this? Is it just a mindset?
Yes, both. Yes to both. Yeah. Anybody can do this.
Yeah.
It's just a mindset. You just have to figure out what works for you. And you have to realize, and I can't remember if it's Vinny I've heard say this, but when you see Taylor Swift or you see, you know, whoever the top singers are right now, you don't know their journey. You don't know their story. You don't know their failures. You don't know what they've gone through to get to where they're at. You just see the finished product and think that you should be there. And that's not how it works.
We talk about this in our blogs and different posts, that the overnight success took a long time in the making. You know,
yes.
When you watch American Idol,
yes,
and you say, "Oh, look at that! They're great." No, they've gone through a process
yes.
that was many weeks, if not months, if not years, to get to that point.
Yes, and how many people that didn't win American Idol that went on to have amazing careers, like Mandisa. So, you know,
most of them that didn't win, I think, have had better careers than those that have. And you're not giving up your dream.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get a little more involved in this leadership role and how you can motivate yourself along with motivating others.
Hey, this is Zach Farnham with 117 Entertainment, and you're listening to the business side of music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Hi, everyone. I'm Larry Butler, and I want to send you a free digital copy of my new book, The Singer-Songwriter Rulebook, 101 Ways to Help You Improve Your Chances of Success. That's right. Everything you need to know to launch your career as a singer-songwriter, all based on my 40 years in the live performance arena, and believe me, I've seen it all. In my book, you'll find the 10 things you have to deal with before even thinking about becoming a singer-songwriter performer. You'll also learn about the 5 things every singer-songwriter can do this weekend to make their live show better. 5 things I can guarantee that you are not doing already. Plus, there's tips on songwriting and staging, photo and video shoots, publishing, merch, dozens of other topics, all written for people who don't particularly like to read. And again, it's free. Just go to the Business Side of Music website homepage and look for my book cover. Click on it, and a free digital copy of my book will be yours. I'm Larry Butler, and I approve of this message. Thanks.
Hi, this is Tom Sabella, the creator, founder, and co-producer of the Business Side of Music podcast. It's loyal listeners such as yourself that make our podcast successful. Take the time to sign up for our weekly newsletter. Not only does it contain information on upcoming podcast episodes, but also informative tidbits on the music industry and even bonus items that we give away. All you have to do is sign up at businesssideofmusic.com, and we will send you Larry Butler's new singer-songwriter rulebook. That's it. All you have to do is go to businesssideofmusic.com, sign up, and we will send you Larry Butler's new book. Thanks to all our loyal listeners. We love you.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Back in the studio here, Franklin Coffee House and Bunker, as we like to call our humble abode here. For those on Facebook that are watching us today, welcome. Glad to have you on board. Judith, when we talk about taking that leadership role and the motivation, you know, it's kicking your butt out of bed, getting started in the morning, getting things going, that's really the first step every single time.
Yeah.
But it's that vision, whether it's a vision board or it's a journal, or what am I good at? And if I'm not good at that, maybe I'm good at something else. At that point, you really need some mentorship to get you started, right?
Yes, you do. You need some mentorship, and you don't want to waste a mentor's time either. You need to be clear, and you need to, if you know, I need help with my songwriting, then you find a mentor that can help you with your songwriting. Another tip I love to share with people that they don't think about is, go back to what we all learned in grade school. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Who's my audience? What am I going to deliver? Fill in those blanks. If you take 5 minutes a day and focus on that helps you hone in on who you are and how you move forward. And you'll start flushing out the gaps that you need to address.
And don't limit it to just one mentor.
No.
Find the mentor find the mentor that has the expertise in that field.
Yes.
And it may not be everything. We're not all Renaissance players. I'm dangerous enough to know a lot of things, but it's a little bit of a lot of things.
Yes.
But it's finding that. And then the next thing is, once you've established that mentorship, what do you do with that?
Well, you have to take ownership of your own personal development. The mentor's not going to do that for you. The mentor's going to point you in a direction and ask questions. Have you considered? A good mentor will do more listening and ask questions and make you reflect on how you answer that question versus solving all your problems. That's not how mentorship works.
Right. And they're going to get you to a certain point.
Yes.
And then after that, you better be ready to leap and run.
Yeah, or you're going to frustrate them and you're going to get frustrated yourself.
You said something before the break that you came to Nashville and your frustration level because there were so many people so much better. But it's always that way. It doesn't matter. We can't all be at the top of the heap.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't need to all be at the top of the heap. Finding out where your success level is at.
Yeah.
And achieve to get there. That's a good start, right?
It is. It's a great start. Start where you're at and build it from there. You may have this idea in your mind of where you want to go. You want that Lear jet. Well, you've got to back it up, put that on the vision board.
Might be a van and a trailer for a while.
It might be Mom's station wagon from the 70s.
Done that.
But you've got to start somewhere and don't be crippled and paralyzed by fear. Because as you start, it will flesh itself out. It really will. If you do something every day, even if it's just that 5 minutes. And a lot of musicians work, they work a full-time job. So what are you doing on your lunch hour? What are you listening to in your car in the commute? Get some leadership books, get some books about songwriting. We live in a day and age where everything's instant and it's audio. Make good use of that time and listen and let someone else's expertise pour into you. And it's going to open up your, expand your horizons, expand your possibilities, expand, oh, that's a really good tip. I should try that. Or, wow, I never thought about that. Because we don't know what we don't know until we learn it, right?
Right. And the other thing, too, is information is one thing. It's then turning it into knowledge.
Yes.
And that's another big step we all need to remember.
Yes. And that's the definition of wisdom. When you take information and turn it into knowledge, you get wisdom. So that's very important because you can hear it, but if you don't do anything about it, it's twofold. The old, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Do you think that the artists today, the singer-songwriters today, do you think they have it easier than, say, 10 years ago? Do you think it's more difficult? I know it's a challenge out there. It's always a challenge. But to find that place, do you think there are the tools to get into those roles to become a leader? Or do you still need to go out and create some things of yourself to get people to understand that this is who you are and this is what you can be?
I think it depends on the person. I think there are people that are very focused and very driven, and they know exactly, and they're willing, to do the steps and the work, and, and they're doing it.
And those are the ones that are typically successful almost from day one.
Yeah, because they see it through. They stay the course. I think for the people that it's a little harder to do that for whatever reason, maybe it's their personality, maybe it's the things they tell themselves. The things we tell ourselves matter. And if you surround yourself by people who don't lift you up and don't pour into you, you become, I think is it Norman Vincent Peale, one of the great writers? It might have been Napoleon Hill. One of them said that you become the sum of the people you spend your time with.
I couldn't agree more. If you surround yourself with people that say you'll never succeed, you'll never succeed.
Right.
And that's one of the things I love about Nashville. We've talked about this before. There's a fellowship. There's a community in this town that, what can I do for you? How can I help you?
Yeah.
Unlike any other market.
I totally agree. I've totally seen it. I wouldn't be where I am now had it not been for people who said, have you thought about, who were willing to push. I didn't pay a lot of money. I just listened to their advice. You'll burn somebody out really quick when You keep going to them and saying, I need help, and they're saying, well, do this, and you don't do it.
Right.
Then they're like, okay, on to the next person. And then they're not answering your texts,
What did I do wrong?
Right,
Yeah.
right. But a person you have to self-evaluate. You have to figure out, first of all, who are you really? Do you have any limiting beliefs that are holding you back? There's the 7 why exercise. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't, no.
So it's 7 questions. They're super simple. So why do you want to be a singer? You answer it. I want to be a singer because I love music. Why do you love music? I love music because it makes me happy. Why does it make you happy? By the time you've done that 7 times, that 7th one, you get to the root cause that I love watching people's faces in the audience because I've given something to them to make their life better.
But be careful because you may find out the real you in that process.
Yes, you
and
will.
That might be kind of scary.
Yes, you will.
But it will answer a lot of questions.
It will. And you don't need a mentor to do that.
Right.
Just do it 7 times. You get to that 7th one and you'll go, wow.
Yeah, so you're asking yourself a question, you're giving the answer, and then you're asking a question to that answer.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of that, but that's very, very cool.
It's not mine. I wish I could claim it, but it's not mine.
There.
Yeah, the 7 whys.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How'd you come about that?
John Maxwell.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about John Maxwell and that program that you got involved in, because I think motivating yourself is one thing, motivating other people, when we talk about leadership, that's such a key component.
Yes.
You've got to be able to motivate other people in the process, and that's really whether you're a CEO of a company or you're a singer-songwriter or whatever. That's what it comes down to.
So true.
In the studio, Judith Baker, talking about all things cool of the 7 whys. That's neat.
Hey, this is Doak Turner with Music Starts Here, and I'm sitting here with my pal Bob Bender, sharing expertise and wisdom right here on the business side of music. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Wow, I just joined the Music Starts Here community. This is a truly hidden gem for anyone in the music business. Whether you live in Nashville or anywhere else in the world, Music Starts Here is like a GPS for your music career. This is the place to be if you want to get advice and direction from some seriously talented musical people who have been where you want to go. Music news, events, and a great big community with resources for artists, songwriters, musicians, studio and tech, along with music business advice from pros in the industry, all on one site. Make sure you get your free profile now. Go to www.musicstartshere.org. That's musicstartshere.org.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Back in the studio, Judith Baker, all around nice person. I got to say, this is cool. I'm loving the conversation. And I told, our guys in the control room, we all said, so when she leaves, are we all going to be motivated? Better sure as, heck be motivated. It really does come down to, and talking about this before the break, when you hang around people you really want to find like-minded people and get rid of the drama. Mm-hmm. I love the 7 whys, because then you really kind of start, you're peeling the layers off that onion and finding out who you are and what you're all about.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the John Maxwell program, because first of all, what is it? What's that all about?
All right. So John Maxwell is the #1 leadership author in the world. He's written over, I think he's up to 90 books now on leadership.
Is that all?
Yeah, just a few. Yeah. And he was approached by my mentor, Paul Martinelli, back around 2014, 2015. And Paul had this vision that, hey, you've got all these books on leadership and communication and things that are really helpful to people. And I think if we package this and train people and certify them as John Maxwell leadership trainers and coaches, you can deploy a whole army of people who can go and breathe life into other people. And that's what John Maxwell is all about. And I remember I've read so many of his books, I can't even remember the first book that I've read. But at work, we're actually doing the mastermind on Everyone Communicates, Few Connect.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And you peel these layers off, right?
We talked about that, Tom Sabella, the co-producer of the show. We went to a network meeting a week or so ago, and there were all these people in the room. And you're right, we're all networking, we're all communicating, but how many of us actually connected and got something out of it? And I got to say, out of all the people there, 2 One of them actually came to fruition on something, and the other one, we'll see where it's going to go. But it's that communicating, but then the connecting with that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And how do you implement that?
Well, you have to understand that connecting is influence. So when you connect with someone, there's influence, and it's a give and a take, and it's not you throw up on that person and then, don't give them a chance to respond. I mean, it is a two-way effort, a two-way communication, understanding, like what we're doing right here.
Right.
This is a great example of everyone communicates if you connect, because I'm giving you the 7 whys. You're going to leave here and go, guys, you got to go do the 7 whys.
We're all doing this afterwards, guys, before we leave.
But it's influence. And when you connect with somebody, they remember you. They remember, oh, I remember Bob Bender. He had me on his show, and he has all these podcasts, and they really help musicians. You need help? Go check that out. There might be one that might help you.
And not all of the hundreds of episodes we have are going to fit within your wheelhouse.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's not what it's designed for. But there might be that 1, 2, or half dozen.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same thing when you communicate and connect.
Exactly. So, that's just one of John's, one of his curriculums. He also has a nonprofit, and he's gone around the world and taught leaders in other countries, and he takes people like me who are certified with him, and, you get to go in, and he's been with the leaders of Saudi Arabia. So the thought that this person who's this guru in leadership expertise is in Saudi Arabia helping teach the government of Saudi Arabia, that's mind-blowing. That's influence. And that's the influence I'm talking about. When you connect with someone, they remember you. And people connect people to people because we're relational.
Or we should be, at least.
Yes.
And that's something else too. If you have that rock star mentality, we've always said this in our business, check your ego at the door.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that are as good, if not better than you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt to be humble.
Yeah.
When trying to figure out things in life.
Exactly.
We were at an event a few weeks ago, and we're all going around the table, and someone said, well, what is it you do? And the one guy says, well, I drive for Lyft, and I'm wanting to be a songwriter. And it's okay to say that because, as you're driving someone around in a Lyft or an Uber, being a rideshare driver, you don't know who's in the back seat.
Exactly.
So don't be afraid to communicate and connect. And I'm not saying shove your music down their throats, but maybe have a business card handy or, a notepad and a pen, write names and numbers down. Because you never know when that next connection is going to turn into something.
You sure don't. And there's a tip to it. You find a commonality. When you can find that common ground, like you have children in the military. I've been in the military right out the gate. We found a commonality unintentionally, but it just, it will surface if you just listen. You listen. So you may have a conversation. You're that songwriter, and you're having a conversation with another songwriter, and you both want to write a song about a certain topic. And so, hey, maybe we should co-write. That's how you connect. You don't just go in and say, here's my card. I'm so-and-so. I play guitar and I'm awesome.
Yeah. Let me roar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. And I think what you said about songwriters too, don't be afraid once again to be humble as a songwriter. And also I would think lose that fear or lose that trepidation of, well, I'm not good enough to write with these people.
Yeah.
They started somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's in itself, I would think, is taking on a little bit of a leadership role, at least in your own mind, to say, you know what, I'm going to try and write with these people. Maybe all I have is just some words written down on a page. But, that's where it always starts. It is.
It is where it starts. And if you don't take a step, if you don't, at least when the door opens, put your foot through the door and not just, don't be paralyzed by fear or change. Don't let those things cripple you. Take that risk and go through that door because you don't know what can come from that. You might write the next hit for Tim McGraw or, Jason Aldean, or you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. But if you don't ever try and you just say, well, that'll never happen to me because I'm just not good enough. So I'm just going to, no.
Do you think that's because a lot of that comes from people is because they've just surrounded themselves with people that's kind of the same way that just, you're never going to make it. You're never going to get anywhere. And you start believing your
Yeah.
own press after a
Yeah.
while. It's real easy to do, isn't it?
It is. And it also can be a fear of failure that you won't know. I mean, you can take the 7 whys and you can go, why haven't I called 5 churches, Judith? Well, I haven't called them because I haven't had time. Well, why haven't I had time? I haven't had time because I haven't made time. And by the time I get to that 7th why, it's going to be because I'm afraid they're not going to book me. That's why I'm not calling.
Right. That's actually very simple, but yet at the same time, it's simple. I mean, come on, that's what it takes to get out there and get discovered.
Yep.
And that's what we're all about. What's next for you?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know.
Come on, the 7 whys.
I know, right? Well, I'm trying to build my business as a speaker with John Maxwell. I want to do something different. And this was Vinny's idea. People will go and they'll do keynote kind of a lecture, and sometimes they're good. And sometimes you're like, well, the one that spoke last year was better. I want to do something different. I want to do what's called a keynote concert, where I blend the music and blend the leadership topic together.
Right.
And that was what prompted me starting LeBaker Music. So in addition to that, I write originals and I'm pursuing placing them in film and TV. And I have my first song on hold for a movie. So I'm really, really excited. It's been a long time coming, but I'm here to tell you, stick with it. And if you get a no, shake it off and move on to the next song or the next opportunity.
Because deliveries breed deliveries. I mean, as soon as you put something out there and it's taken, then it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be just a little bit easier, and you just keep going.
Yeah, and your attitude is so important, because you talked about the rock stars. I call them divas. Newsflash, nobody wants to work with a diva or a rock star. And so your song didn't get picked. Well, if you have a good attitude about it, they may remember you because they may have actually liked the song, but it wasn't a good fit for that project.
Or maybe they didn't even like the song, but they liked you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's where that whole attitude and mindset comes into place.
Yep. And it's like leading yourself from the inside out, right? That sounds like a book.
Hey, let me make a note of that too.
That's the other thing. I'm writing a couple of books. One of them, I don't have the title yet, but it's going to be 10 attitudes or 10 things you can think about to live a happier and more successful life, more meaningful life. And the other one is for women entrepreneurs. And of course, I'm writing, building my John Maxwell business. I want to be able to do more masterminds with people, just sitting down and going through this great curriculum.
How can people find you?
They can find me online at my website, which is LeBakermusic.com.
And it's L-E.
Mm-hmm, L-E Baker.
Baker.
Yep. It's a combination of my maiden name and my married name. So
Gotcha.
It made sense. So, yeah. So that's my brand, as they say.
Thank you for being on the show. This was great.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Los Angeles, California and Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Fuson.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.